Hello, I'm Linord Moudou. Vincent Makore is off today. This is Africa 54. Fear grips Nigeria as the government pursues the perpetrators of Wednesday's bombing attack outside a crowded shopping center in an upscale Abuja neighborhood. Nigerian police say the massive explosion killed at least 21 people and wounded 52 others. Heather Murdock has more from Abuja.
Through this shopping center around 4 o'clock in the afternoon. An hour later, pools of blood were still on the streets. Blessed Marta was selling local nuts outside the market. She left for home 5 minutes before the bomb went off. Her 2 sisters and a friend selling bananas were killed.
When I come back, before I will come back, none of them is there again. So the place now burned to ashes. All of them, both the banana women, all of them just dead like that.
Police say they have made arrests in connection with the blast, but for now are not blaming Boko Haram, an Islamist insurgent group that has killed more than 2,000 people this year alone. Police spokesperson Frank Mabah.
It's a clear case of an explosion. The details of the nature of the explosion or the nature of the IEDs that were used are still unknown to us.
Nigeria's 5-year-old insurgency is usually contained in the northeast, where 3 states have been under emergency rule for more than a year. But the insurgency appears to be expanding its reach and its tactics, including mass kidnappings of women and girls. After 2 years of peace in the capital, 3 bombings have killed more than 100 people since mid-April. Boko Haram claimed responsibility for the first bombing in Abuja this year and threatened there would be more to come. Heather Murdock.
For more details on Wednesday's attack, Heather Murdock joins us on the phone from Abuja. Good evening, Heather.
Good evening. How are you?
I'm good. What should have been a day of celebration became a day of tragedy yesterday. Can you describe the situation on the ground for us?
Well, immediately after the bombing, the people who worked in the building and lived in the area were gathered around the streets around the site for hours. Body parts had been sprayed everywhere. A lot of people had died. And initially, it was people from a nearby mosque that the windows had been blown out that were carrying people to the hospitals. And in fact, a couple hours later, there were still pools of blood on the ground and footprints. People in Abuja, in Nigeria in general, are very nervous about this attack because it is in the middle of the city, in a posh neighborhood, the kind of area that you would never think would be bombed.
A very busy area indeed. Is there any information on what causes the explosion? Anything new that you've heard?
Well, there's nothing new that is concrete of what caused the explosion. The police have said that it was a crime, not an accident, and they have somebody in custody. In general, everyone believes that it was Boko Haram insurgents responsible for the attack because they have threatened Abuja before and attacked Abuja very recently, twice.
So it seems the attacks are increasing and also spreading. This speaks to the government's inability to really address this issue, wouldn't you say?
Well, that's what it appears to be, and that was what's generally believed on the streets. The government is very quiet recently about what they're doing in terms of fending off Boko Haram and finding the hundreds of kidnapped girls that remain missing. I think people have been very disappointed by their inability to slow the insurgency. So at this point, I don't think they want to give too much details about what they're doing, lest they be called liars.
Now, the government says it has tightened up security. Have you seen any type of unusual measures in this regard?
No. I mean, today I was in Abuja driving around. I didn't see anything different from usual. They did say there was tightened security, but I'm not sure what exactly they're doing.
So moving forward, what do you think will be the reaction of the government from your experience on the ground?
Well, it's really hard to say because we're all here in Nigeria baffled by the reaction thus far. I mean, the army does seem very sincere when they say they really, really are trying. Part of the problem is a lack of resources, but it's just very confusing with all of this effort and all of the resources that are being put into this effort that the insurgency is growing this year as opposed to getting smaller.
Thank you so much, Heather, and be safe out there. And that was Heather Murdock reporting from Abuja.